The original 30-round steel magazine. Soviet engineers developed the original AK-47 steel magazine alongside the rifle itself during the late 1940s, designing it to feed the newly created 7.62 by 39 mm cartridge reliably under harsh combat conditions. It entered official service in 1949 alongside the rifle's formal Soviet Army adoption, becoming the standard magazine for the platform's first 2 decades of production. It weighs about 400 grams empty, measures roughly 34 centimeters in length, and holds 30 rounds stacked in a staggered double-column configuration inside a curved steel body. Its distinctive curve follows the natural taper of the tapered 7.62 by 39 mm cartridge case, allowing the rounds to stack and feed smoothly despite their slightly conical shape. It feeds ammunition through spring tension, pushing rounds upward into the feed lips, where the bolt strips each cartridge forward into the chamber during the rifle's cycling process. Soviet infantry carried these steel magazines throughout the early Cold War, and countless Allied and client states received them alongside exported rifles starting in the 1950s. Its rugged steel construction could withstand rough handling, being dropped, stepped on, or used as an improvised tool without significantly affecting reliable function. Its simple, low-cost stamped steel manufacturing process allowed the Soviet Union and licensed producers to churn out millions of units relatively cheaply. It remains recognizable today as the definitive visual symbol of the AK platform, appearing in countless flags, emblems, and popular culture references worldwide. Few pieces of military equipment have become as instantly identifiable across such a wide range of cultures and contexts as this curved steel magazine. The 20-round steel magazine. Soviet engineers developed a shorter 20-round steel magazine alongside the standard 30-round version during the AK-47's early production years, intended primarily for use with underslung grenade launchers and certain specialized rifle configurations. It became available starting in the early 1950s, offered as an alternative rather than a replacement for the standard capacity magazine already in widespread service. It weighs about 300 grams empty, measures approximately 24 centimeters, noticeably shorter than the standard magazine, while sharing the same basic curved steel construction and staggered feed design. Its shorter length allowed soldiers to fire from a prone position more comfortably, since the standard 30-round magazine's length could interfere with ground clearance when shooting from certain positions. It functions identically to the standard magazine internally, using the same spring-tensioned feed system, scaled down to accommodate fewer rounds within the shorter body. Soviet and Allied forces issued it primarily to designated marksmen and troops using rifle-mounted grenade launchers, where the shorter profile reduced interference with the launcher's operation. Its reduced ammunition capacity made it less common for general infantry issue, compared to the standard 30-round magazine, favored for typical combat roles. Various nations producing licensed AK variants continued manufacturing 20-round magazines alongside standard capacity versions throughout the Cold War for these same specialized applications. It remains a less common but historically significant variant, still manufactured today for shooters wanting a more compact magazine profile. Its specialized origin story continues to interest collectors researching the full range of accessories developed alongside the original rifle. Bakelite, Soviet plastic magazine. Soviet engineers developed the Bakelite magazine during the late 1950s, seeking a lighter alternative to steel construction, using an early rigid plastic material that had already proven durable in other Soviet military applications. It entered production and service starting around 1959, gradually supplementing steel magazines within Soviet military stocks over the following years. It weighs significantly less than steel at about 250 grams empty, retains the same 30-round capacity and curved profile, molded from a dark reddish-brown phenolic resin material commonly called Bakelite. It consists of a single molded plastic shell, reinforced internally with the same basic feed lip and spring mechanism used in steel magazines, adapted to the different material properties of molded plastic construction. It functions through the identical spring-tensioned feed system as steel magazines, with the plastic shell proving surprisingly resistant to impact and temperature extremes despite its lighter weight. Soviet forces issued it widely alongside steel magazines through the 1960s and beyond, and it became particularly associated with rifles exported to client states across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Its lighter weight offered genuine practical benefits for soldiers carrying multiple loaded magazines across extended patrols or operations. Its distinctive reddish-brown color and texture made it instantly recognizable, becoming closely associated with Soviet-exported AK rifles throughout numerous Cold War-era conflicts. It remains highly sought after today among collectors, specifically for its historical significance and distinctive vintage appearance compared to later plastic magazine designs. Its early use of molded plastic technology in a military application also makes it a notable milestone in firearms manufacturing history. RPK 40-round magazine. Soviet engineers developed the extended 40-round magazine specifically for the RPK light machine gun, a heavier, longer-barreled variant of the AK platform, adopted as a squad automatic weapon starting in 1961. It entered service alongside the RPK itself in the early 1960s, designed to give the squad support weapon meaningfully more sustained firepower than standard rifle magazines could provide. It weighs about 700 grams empty, measures roughly 42 centimeters, noticeably longer than the standard 30-round magazine, while using the same fundamental curved steel construction and staggered feed principle. Its extended length and capacity required a slightly reinforced spring and feed lip design to reliably handle the additional rounds without introducing feeding malfunctions during sustained automatic fire. It functions through the same basic spring tension mechanism as smaller AK magazines, simply scaled up to accommodate the additional 10 rounds the RPK's support role demanded. Soviet and Warsaw Pact squad-level machine gunners carried these extended magazines specifically for the RPK, giving infantry squads additional sustained fire capability without requiring a separate belt-fed weapon. Its compatibility with standard rifle-configured AK-47s meant riflemen could also use these extended magazines when additional capacity mattered more than concealment or weight savings. Its widespread export, alongside RPK light machine guns, meant it reached the same global conflicts and client states that received standard AK-47 rifles throughout the Cold War. It remains in production and use today, wherever RPK pattern light machine guns continue serving in military and paramilitary roles worldwide. Its extended capacity remains a genuine tactical advantage for support gunners needing to maintain fire longer between reloads than standard riflemen require. 75-round drum magazine. Soviet engineers developed the 75-round drum magazine during the AK-47's early production years, adapting a concept already tested on earlier Soviet submachine guns to provide dramatically increased ammunition capacity for sustained fire support roles. It became available starting in the early 1950s, offered as a specialized high-capacity option rather than standard general infantry issue. It weighs approximately 1.8 kilograms empty, considerably heavier than any box magazine, using a coiled internal spring mechanism housed within a circular drum body rather than the straight staggered column design of standard magazines. It works through a spiral feed path, where a wound spring pushes cartridges along a curved internal track toward the feed lips as the mechanism rotates during firing, a considerably more complex system than simple box magazine feeding. Soviet and Allied forces occasionally issued drums to support gunners or specific defensive positions needing sustained fire without frequent magazine changes. Its substantial weight and bulk made it impractical for regular infantry carry, limiting its widespread field adoption compared to standard box magazines despite the genuine capacity advantage it offered. Its complex internal spring mechanism also proved more prone to malfunction than simple box magazines, if not properly maintained and loaded correctly. Various AK pattern rifle manufacturers worldwide have continued producing drum magazines for both military specialty use and civilian markets, valuing the dramatic capacity increase. It remains a niche but recognizable AK magazine variant, valued more for its visual impact and extended capacity than for practical everyday carry. Its dramatic silhouette continues appearing in media and popular culture whenever a scene calls for exaggerated, high-capacity firepower. AK-74 5.45 mm magazine. Soviet engineers developed a new magazine specifically for the AK-74 rifle during the early 1970s, designed around the smaller, lighter 5.45 by 39 mm cartridge that replaced the older 7.62 by 39 mm round in Soviet service. It entered production alongside the AK-74's official adoption in 1974, representing a significant departure from the reddish Bakelite magazines used on earlier 7.62 mm rifles. It weighs about 200 grams empty, noticeably lighter than 7.62 mm magazines due to both the smaller cartridge and improved plastic composite construction, typically molded in a distinctive plum or dark brown color. It features a distinctive waffle-textured surface pattern, molded into the plastic body, reinforcing structural rigidity while reducing overall material weight compared to smooth-sided designs. It functions through the same basic spring-tensioned feed system as earlier magazines, adapted specifically to the smaller, straighter 5.45 mm cartridges' different stacking geometry within the magazine body. Soviet forces issued it widely, starting in the mid-1970s, and it became the standard magazine across the entire AK-74 family, adopted by Soviet and later Russian military forces. Its lighter weight allowed soldiers to carry more loaded magazines for the same overall weight burden compared to older 7.62 mm equipment. Warsaw Pact nations and various Soviet client states adopted the AK-74 and its corresponding magazine throughout the 1970s and 1980s as Soviet production shifted toward the newer cartridge standard. It remains the standard magazine pattern for AK-74 variants still in service with Russian and former Soviet-aligned military forces today. Its distinctive waffle texture remains one of the most recognizable visual details separating AK-74 rifles from their older 7.62 mm predecessors at a glance. Chinese Type 56 magazine. Chinese state arsenals developed their own AK-47 variant, the Type 56, during the mid-1950s, after receiving Soviet technical assistance and manufacturing licenses as part of broader Sino-Soviet military cooperation. China began domestic Type 56 magazine production starting around 1956, initially closely mirroring Soviet steel magazine designs before developing distinct manufacturing characteristics over subsequent decades. It weighs approximately 400 grams empty, essentially matching standard 30-round Soviet dimensions and capacity, though Chinese production runs often used slightly different steel gauges and stamping techniques than Soviet originals. It shares the same basic curved steel construction and staggered feed mechanism as the original Soviet design, reflecting the close technical relationship between Chinese and Soviet small arms manufacturing during this period. It functions identically to Soviet magazines internally, maintaining full compatibility with standard AK-47 rifles, regardless of manufacturing origin, a deliberate design consistency across the broader Kalashnikov manufacturing ecosystem. China exported enormous quantities of Type 56 rifles and magazines throughout the Cold War, reaching conflicts and insurgencies across Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East, independent of direct Soviet involvement. Its widespread export made Chinese-manufactured magazines nearly as common globally as original Soviet production, particularly throughout Asian and African conflicts during the 1960s through 1980s. Its continued manufacture for both military and civilian markets has made Chinese pattern magazines a common sight among collectors and shooters worldwide. It remains an important variant in AK magazine history, reflecting how quickly Kalashnikov production spread beyond Soviet borders during the early Cold War. Its continued manufacture today reflects China's long-standing role as one of the largest producers of Kalashnikov pattern rifles and magazines outside Russia itself. Bulgarian Circle 10 Polymer Magazine. Bulgarian State Arsenal, Arsenal AD, developed the Circle 10 polymer magazine during the 1990s, seeking a modern, lightweight alternative to older steel and Bakelite designs for both military export and the growing civilian AK pattern rifle market. It entered commercial and military production starting in the mid-1990s, becoming one of the most recognized modern polymer AK magazines available internationally. It weighs approximately 150 grams empty, considerably lighter than steel equivalents, molded from a durable reinforced polymer material, offering genuine weight savings without sacrificing structural strength. It features a distinctive translucent or semi-translucent body in certain variants, allowing users to visually check remaining ammunition, a practical improvement over older opaque steel and Bakelite designs. It functions through the same fundamental spring-tensioned feed mechanism as all AK pattern magazines, with the modern polymer construction offering improved resistance to corrosion compared to older steel designs. Bulgaria exported these magazines widely to both military customers and the growing global civilian AK pattern rifle market throughout the late 1990s and 2000s. Its combination of lightweight, corrosion resistance, and modern manufacturing made it popular among civilian shooters seeking reliable alternatives to older military surplus magazines. Its Circle 10 proof mark, stamped into the polymer body indicating Bulgarian manufacturing origin, became a widely recognized quality indicator among AK pattern rifle enthusiasts. It remains a popular choice today among civilian AK owners specifically seeking modern, lightweight, corrosion-resistant magazines over older military surplus alternatives. Its continued availability reflects Bulgaria's ongoing position as a respected manufacturer within the broader international AK pattern accessory market. Magpul PMAG magazine. American manufacturer Magpul developed a polymer AK pattern magazine during the 2010s, applying manufacturing techniques and design philosophy already proven successful in its widely popular AR-15 magazine line to the Kalashnikov platform. It became commercially available starting in 2012, targeting the large civilian AK pattern rifle market in the United States and internationally. It weighs approximately 170 grams empty, molded from a proprietary reinforced polymer material, holding the standard 30-round capacity within dimensions compatible with standard AK pattern rifles across various manufacturers. It features anti-tilt followers and reinforced feed lips specifically engineered to improve feeding reliability compared to many older military surplus magazines, particularly worn or damaged examples common in the surplus market. It functions through an improved spring-tensioned feed system, incorporating design refinements developed through Magpul's extensive experience manufacturing AR-15 magazines for military and civilian markets. Civilian AK pattern rifle owners in the United States and elsewhere adopted it widely, drawn to its modern manufacturing quality and consistent reliability compared to aging military surplus alternatives of uncertain condition. Its widespread civilian adoption reflected a broader trend of American manufacturers entering the AK pattern accessory market as civilian ownership of these rifles grew substantially through the 2000s and 2010s. Its reputation for reliability made it a frequently recommended upgrade among civilian shooters and firearms reviewers evaluating AK pattern magazine options. It remains one of the most popular modern civilian AK magazines available today, representing decades of accumulated design refinement applied to Kalashnikov's original 1947 concept. From stamped Soviet steel to modern American polymer engineering, the magazine's evolution mirrors the platform's own remarkable journey across borders and decades. If you found this breakdown useful, Share this video with someone who's into firearms history or design. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. Let us know in the comments which topic you want covered next.